And yes, I am a bit behind, but I'm power lunging through getting ready for 2022 and some of the projects I'm going to be bringing to you guys. And I wanted to have a quick chat with you guys just to check in, because I did actually get a community post tab that was a little bit depressing. So I have put in a communication post, a link for if you are feeling that way, you know, what you guys can actually do. Currently, because we are moving through the transits, you know, we're moving into the shadow phase of Mercury retrograde. It's in the house of Libra. You know, you might see in the collective a lot of people getting quite cross and feeling very restricted. And, you know, Libra is sort of that balance. It's justice, it's balance, but it's also, hey, giggle, it's also our way of being. You know, we're wanting to do something positive. We might want to go to our jobs. We might want to socialize. We might want to be connected to our loved ones. And so, you know, being that Mars is in that placement, Mars can actually connect to police and justice. And, you know, it's more the hierarchy of what comes under, you know, the top dogs, so to speak. So yes, that frustration can be there, but all of us collectively with the Mercury retrograde, we're going to be tuning into that. We're going to be fine tuning. You can think you're going left and then you're going right. People from the past can be coming back, and it's very reflective. And so sometimes we can almost go into that standpoint of the Mercury retrograde during the time of the full moon in Pisces and be thinking, do we bother doing anything? And it's don't not do things. If anything, it's a really good time to you know, find devil in the detail. Get on top of things that you haven't completed. Finalize those tasks. Maybe go back to old things that you used to like doing. It could be a hobby. It might be upskilling in something. But, you know, it's short term and it's short-term commitments. But it's looking at it and readdressing it. So it's a return to a situation. So, and at the moment, because we have Neptune in Pisces and we're having the full moon in Pisces, the one thing I am having with my clientele is, yes, the realm is very thin. It's between the 4D and the 5D. So you can tend to be more visual and aware of maybe spirits, ghosts, entities, energies. So it is a good time with the full moon to, you know, it's a transitional stage. It's a full moon. It's a peak point of a situation. It's a rounding up point. And, you know, the one thing I have been really guided to is because in 2022, we're going to be having Jupiter in Pisces. And that was really the whole reason why I decided that I was going to be doing the magazine, is because, you know, when we had Chiron and Pisces, I did realise there was a huge need and there was a spiritual awakening stage where we felt very disorientated. Jupiter expands things, so when we had it retrograde back, you know, travel was open and things to that degree, so we can see that happening in 2022. And we're preparing for it, but we're getting disillusioned and frustrated by the interim of what we're physically going through. So yes, there can be more laws and there can be maybe a return to things and looking at, you know, how we can kind of maybe navigate it and balance it out. Trade deals can come up. We also have, China has Libra in its chart, and currently we have Mercury gearing up, ready to go retrograde in Libra. So it's very Mars and Libra all in one. So yes, subjects to do with China can come up in the media. But really in your own personal lives, you can be having ascension, okay? What do we call ascension? It can be nausea. It can be feeling fatigued and off. It can be very anxious because it's 4D. But it's also the 12th house collectively. So your 12th house is... it's our psyche, it's psychology, it's spirituality, it's religion. It can be, and again, we can get into our monkey mind. We can become quite spiraling. You do need to keep your fluid up during this transit. There are pretty positive aspects, I will say. But again, to end things and have new beginnings, we can get a little bit distorted. And during full moons, we can actually be a little bit more agitated. So, like I said, there was a comment that was in one of the posts, and it was on one of the videos, and the person was expressing their great depression and despair and wishing to end things. And so I have in the community tab put a link up, which is for international... it's an international suicide hotline, and it's more for your support if that's where you get to. And, you know, I was talking to a client the other day, and again, I'm not a therapist, So, I can give you the tools from my personal experience, and, I can empathize. But the secondary thing is we can fall into two brackets. At times when we're healing, we can feel disillusioned to that point. And then we can fall into another bracket where we feel there's absolutely no way out. And it is a falsity. Everything in life is very temporary. And so when we get into that monkey mind of believing, it could be because our support systems aren't there. It could be because we feel, we're saying something's going on deaf ears. It's not really being transmitted or understood, or we feel shame or guilt that maybe we're feeling a certain way. And that spiraling can come through at this time. So really create that energy. And that's why I always say, make sure you have those phone numbers in your phone you can go to. And when we're in self-sabotage, we generally, because we're fearing something, we can accidentally go to those people that are going to tell us all those things. And it's really not healthy. It can be a codependent vibration. It can be also self-sabotage, where we're physically wanting them to tell us what those things are, so that we're guilting ourselves or feeling negative. It's punishment. It's personal punishment. So just be really cautious about how you're navigating through this moon. Definitely do your salt baths, but, know that you are in control. Know that you are in a safe space and that this is a transitional phase. So number one, Pisces is the 12th house. Keep your hydration up. Are there benefiting positions? Yes, there are. However, it could be that with our thoughts and our actions, because there's a quincunx, we may need to react to circumstances in a certain way. But when it does come to your emotions, if you're in that awareness, you're going to be more settled than not. Number two, keep your fluid up. Keep your fluid up, smudge your houses, clear your space, tie up your loose ends, meditate. This is a time of meditation and contemplation. A, because we have Mercury retrograde. B, because people from the past can be coming back. That's not a negative thing. It is there for a reason. Trust the process. And also the realm is very thin. So you can be having out-of-body experiences. You can be having dream states. We can move into hallucinogenics and codependency. We need to be cautious to not turn to a substance to solve our problems. And so this can be a heightened peak point. You tend to find at full moons, I've been saying this for ages, that at a full moon, you will have more agitation. So, there can be disruption. You can probably see it in the media, but don't think it's a permanent thing and don't get scared by it. It's merely, I was saying this to my mum last night, that, we're water. So with the tides coming in and out, our chemistry and our emotions are really governed by both the moon and the ocean and the tides, so they can be the heightened peak. You always tend to find at a full moon or a new moon, new moons are better for planting. That's because the water table is closer to the surface, but definitely in the void stage, it is always a transitional phase. So it's tying up those loose ends at the full moon so we can have that new chapter. And it's also closing out things and starting new things. But don't start them right away. Wait for a few days. Void moons are better for completing and ending things. And because it's Mercury retrograde, this can cause conflict in connections. So the way we communicate with our workplace, the way we communicate with our family, it's cross wires. It's cross wires, misunderstandings. It can be things coming to a head and a peak. Just kind of step through it, walk through it. I would also say, if you are maybe looking at employment, those things can be a little bit foggy at the moment because we're having cross wires, maybe needing to double check our emails. Really great time to do your passwords. So clean your house, bath, keep your fluid up. You can also, try and avoid conflict. Sit with the space and really think on how you're feeling. Allow what is coming up to be reflected upon. Don't push it, so to speak, but just sit with it and honor it. And it doesn't have to be that you're critiquing yourself and you're saying, I'm really bad that I'm still in this space psychologically, or if you're frustrated to do with something and you're feeling disillusioned, just honor that space, but know it's going to change. It's a bit like when we're fatigued, we can be in the pits of turmoil and despair, but then the next day, if you get a good night of sleep, you're kind of over it. Sometimes when we document things down and we write them down, we can return to them and then we can go, oh, it's really interesting that I thought that. But it is because when we are more fatigued, we're more than likely, how can I say it? We can be more negative naturally because it's feeling like chronic fatigue. What's the other thing I can say? So yes, nausea, ascension, spiraling, psychic attacks. On the higher octane, it can be a fantastic time. Do we manifest during those times? I probably wouldn't. And it's only because, manifestation, and at the moment, I'm creating some courses, and this is for 2022. It's going to be for the twin flame path. It's going to be for healing, your awakening, and I'm really breaking it down, and it's going to have imagery, audio, video. Some units are going to be done in a video sense for the platform of YouTube. Others for the full course is going to be, sections of it will be free, sections of it will be purchasable. But it's so that you guys, I'm always saying these things, but really to get into the crux and the in-depth comprehension of the knowledge base, to have that at your disposition, to actually have that and read it as a resource. When we have these triggers come up, we can refer back to it and we have that content there that we can look at. And I think that's very important. I'm one person, and to service those needs, it's the most practical format in order to do such. So I'm creating that at the moment. So that's in the background, and there'll also be, a spiritual hub that will be occurring on the actual website, and that will be guided meditation. I'm going to do channeled messages. I'm going to do audio files for your awakening to remove blockages. I'm also going to do audio files with subliminals to help you cut certain blockages in the connection in the twin flame path. So that's set to come. It is taking a little bit of time, but I've already started it. Okay. So I'll have a chat to a few of you. I have so much to do and yet no desire to do anything. The reason why that's happening is because Libra, and I hate saying this because I totally disagree with the analogy that they say Libras are very indecisive. I actually do not feel Librans are indecisive. The energy of Libra is justice, but it is that there's no right and wrong. That there is, yes, we do need to at times make a judgment, and sometimes both parties are correct and they try to find a medium ground to make a judgment on the situation for the most fairest outcome. So it's only logical that we say, with Mars being in the house of Libra, they're two different polar opposites. They're the shadow sign of Libra. And so for Libra natives, they will be, they're learning that, yes, we can be understanding, but it's also make a decision. And it's not so much that Libra doesn't make decisions. It's that it can, sometimes when we're stuck in the matrix of indecision, which is bloody Mercury retrograde, and you add Libra to that, and it's a double whammy, you can't stop moving forward. Sometimes we're faring and we're building pyramids and we're kind of like, okay, is it, should I do that now? What if X, Y, and Z happens? And that's again, attachment. Allowing Mother Nature to take its course. Go on a Ferris wheel ride. Go on a Ferris wheel ride and, test the waters a little bit. And if it mucks up, it mucks up. But it can make you unmotivated. And that then is going to come back. I mean, we really do have such a small pocket of time before we end up hitting the end of the year where we're going to have a Venus retrograde. And next month we're having both Saturn and, I believe it's Saturn and Jupiter. Don't quote me. But planets are going direct as we have the new moon phase. So when it does come to Libra, we're going to be having a new moon in Libra in October, and then we're going to be having a full moon in Aries. And currently we have Aries and Chiron retrograde, so we're reflective of our wounds. We're looking at those things. You know, it's good that it's first house placement, and it's not to say that's where it is in your chart, but collectively for each of us in an area of our life with Aries and Chiron retrograde, we have moved through a huge portal of healing. When you add Virgo and Pisces together, which, yes, we do need to use the logical mind, the analytical mind, you're going to have a lot of ideas. So it's almost like, what do you do first? Become really practical and just journal it down. Journal it down and go, okay, well, what would need the energy for me to do right now? What is the utmost of importance that I need to address today so that it's not going to spiral out of control later? And it's really using your energy resourcefully, logical mind, Virgo. And why am I mentioning Virgo? Because we had the new moon in Virgo, we're having the full moon in Pisces, and they're shadow signs to each other. So if we're getting into the monkey mind and we're being very critical, you're going to start getting headaches, and it's also not productive. So if you've reached a resolve and a solution and you've cast a critical eye on it, which during the last 3 months we've been doing that, we've been healing, psychoanalyzing, critiquing, restructuring, health. I mean, the list could go on. We've gone through that the last 3 months. Where we're at now is the 12th house. What can we create through this? Meditate, recoup, yes, in those 3 days either side of the moon. So today you're going to find your intuition is heightened. Your body might not be negotiating with you, moving into the full moon phase of Pisces, and you're already going to get that shadow energy of it. I'm here in Australia at the 20th, so we're moving into that Pisces moon. Last night the moon was pretty big, but again, you know, I was having a lot of ascension symptoms. I have over the last 3 days has been pretty off, but just honor the body, fuel up. You know, purging can come through detoxification. And so the funny thing is, when emotions are heightened, we tend to go more towards toxicity. But you really need to do the polar opposite. It's better to keep that fluid up. You know, you might be more indulgent because Mercury's in Libra. I got on the chocolates even though I wasn't feeling well. It was like, what's working, you know? And it wasn't that food didn't taste good. It was like nothing really was sitting correctly. So keeping that fluid up to actually detox a little bit. The base chakra also has been coming up very heavily. So if you felt your back was off or that your digestion wasn't going through, you know, and again, you know, it's ascension. It's going to pass, so it's really good to actually flush. And when you purge, you're flushing a belief system. You know, I said this to my mother last night. She was, you know, where we carry energy in our body, it can be pain or weight. It's spiritual baggage. So, you know, she was going into the analogy of from, you know, quote unquote, there has to be a reason why, you know, some of us hold, you know, weight, so to speak. And I said, well, from my experience, there was a time when I was exercising like 3 hours a day. You know, I was eating like rabbit food and nothing was coming off. But then I found when I started purging and healing and really looking at my shadow, number one, it was going to free me. Number two, I didn't have to relive that torment. And number three is it just dropped off me because it's spiritual baggage. And from the lower chakras, you know, your base chakra, your solar plexus, your sacral chakra, and at the moment we're all in the 12th house. But when they become sluggish, they can be overactive. We can move into control, agitation, anger, maybe, you know, power cleaning and doing things. And then we can go to the polar opposite where there's blockages where they're unmotivated, they're not moving, we don't have energy. But it's also can be where we're giving our power away, and you know, no choice is a choice, and it doesn't have to be that we're perfect, and it doesn't have to be that choice is correct. It's merely with the underactive and the overactive chakra systems, it does create a blockage in the top chakras. So I would say at the moment, even though we are based in the crown chakra at the minute, it's very 4D. get your lower chakras balanced. You know, you can eat the food groups in that area. Do a bit of detox. You know, go on to maybe the liquids. And again, always seek medical advice. You know, this is merely from an astrological point of view. If you're having these synchronistic events happening within your chakra system, but always base it on what is going on with your body. You know, I'm not in your life. You would need to look at, hey, do I have ailments? Do I have conditions that maybe prevent me from doing that? Look outside the box and do your research. But you can do guided meditation for the base chakra, solar plexus and sacral chakra. But, you know, it's more if you're angry, balance it out. Balance the sacral chakra. And it's a joint chakra for soul connections and twin flames. But it's also where we could be angry and projecting. Or it's where we're over hungry. You know, and then because we're recouping and upgrading, but really, you know, just clear those energies. Yesterday, a huge house cleaning. Yeah, burnt yourself out. It's not, yeah, I got that way, doll. I had been super productive. I sat and I just honored the body. It was feeling tired. Again, 12th house. It's like, oh, you just want to go in a dream state. It's a good time to meditate. It's a good time to just sit back and relax and just move through the vibe. But if you're needing to have power naps, again, your body's upgrading, just honor it. Obviously, some of us can't do that depending on the industry we're in. But yes, so I would say keep your fluid up. Check where the chakra blockages are. Do your baths. Nurture yourself. Good time to detox. You know, get into the drinking of fluid. Maybe some natural herbal teas. You know, if your tummy's off, a bit of hot water. But just looking after your vibration and honoring your body of what you need. Good time for journaling. If you're thinking on things, don't punish yourself. Don't be angry at yourself. Just look at it. The movement forward is going to be, like, 2022 is very transformative. So it's going to be similar themes, but we've already mastered it. So it's not that it's exactly the same. Jupiter will be in the house of Pisces. But we do need to really, you know, during these times, it's probably a very good time with full moon and Pisces to actually look at whatever does come up and document it down. Because these can be similar themes in 2022, and it doesn't mean to say they're going to be exactly the same, but in the house system, it will be astrologically. So we might have had that around May. Yeah, it's because you're integrating and upgrading. It's perfectly normal. You know, just get the detox, move into, okay, it's time to balance and get your spirituality back. And, you know, as you do that, you'll feel different in the days coming. Do things that are pleasant, but try, you know, honor it at the moment. But as we move out of that moon phase, you know, really do focus on your contracts. Hi, Rebecca, how are you, doll? So just really focus on your projects and be very a conscious energy user. In where you place your energy, it will grow. Build it and they will come. You know, the devil in the detail with Mercury retrograde is your projects, your love life. You can see something and it can give you solutions. So this is very productive during this time. If we go into reactiveness and we're in a toxic relationship, for instance, yes, during this time it can bring it to a head. I was having a chat to a client yesterday and I said, you know, sometimes we tell ourselves these false fulfilling prophecies. And if something's really, you know, Giggle said this the other day, if it feels so good, why does it hurt so bad? We get scared that if we drop the ball and stop doing something, it's going to have a dire outcome. But if you were already outgrowing it, you naturally were going to outgrow it. So again, we tell ourselves these false fulfilling prophecies that it's going to be terrible if we lose a job, you know, but we hate the bloody thing, you know, and you're kind of saying to yourself, but there's something in it for me. That's attachment. So the control of the Virgo energy, the shadow sign of Pisces, is you might be controlling something psychologically too much and trying to make sense of it. And because you can't comprehend it and you're trying to get to the crux of it, it's making you feel like you're disillusioned. So be in awareness of that. And when you said it was going to be your birthday, Diva, I was like, oh, you poor thing. But it's, it's moving to the spirituality. Does our birthday have to look a particular way? Sometimes we have this attachment. Every bloody birthday I've had has been crap. And then I gave up. And it wasn't giving up. It was not having expectations, because it's solar returns. And naturally, birthdays always tend to be, it's a bit like the orphan's birthday. It always ends up being better a few days before or a few days after. Why? Because we're having solar returns. You're having an upgrade. You want to, you want to fight for your right to party, and you're like, this isn't feeling so good. They didn't do this for me. Does that mean they don't love me? No. That means they're just funky, okay? And nothing, I had to tell myself at one point, YILDIZ, not everything is about you. Even if we do have an attachment and we're going, you know what? I do deserve to have the best in life, but maybe they don't have the monetarization. Maybe they don't understand. Maybe they got a spiritual blockage. Maybe 100 things. It's like, don't get in the monkey mind. How can you honor you at any moment in time, be it it's birthday, it's, and just love yourself. Go, look, I'm allowed to feel mad, bad, angry, sad. And I'm going to, I could say grab a bottle of bubbly, but I mean, automatically, Pisces is, we can go down that rabbit hole, and we have to be very balanced. Mercury retrograde, okay? Be balanced. Don't go insane there, because, this could be a time when, when you're angry, have you ever noticed you spew out the sputum of crap, and then you go, wow, I'm really surprised I thought that. And you actually find a root wound. So when you're in the thick of it, great time to journal. If you don't want to write down, grab your telephone, audio record it, and then go back to it in a few days. You're going to have keys to your blockages inside that audio. And when you sit and you listen to yourself, you go, wow, I have done that. So listen back to how you feel. It's very therapeutic, and it's also an ability to acknowledge what is personally going on with you. When we're in that emotion, we don't see it because we're embodying it. We are it. And to be an observer of your own experience, you need to step outside it. So there's various ways we can do that. When it's happening, to be in awareness, you can look at it from an external point of view where it's safe. It's a bit like, okay, I'm here in Hades now. Let's jump out of this and just pause and take a breath and look at what I'm doing, how I'm reacting, how I'm thinking, speaking. Mercury in shadow phase, getting ready to go retrograde. And then go, okay, is this a, you get what I'm saying. He has previously bought a cake for his mum's birthday, so I didn't see why I have to be the one to accept. 100%. But again, there's, I had to look at this at one point, and I was like, do we do things out of tradition, expectation, or do we do things out of obligation? Because if we should restrict, I can't even speak, Mercury bloody retrograde. It's not a competition. You have a need. You can then voice it. Like if they say, hey, what's up? You can then turn around. Hi, Dale. You can then turn around and say, hey, that actually really hurt me because it made me feel unvalued. So then you're honoring your throat chakra and just saying your disappointment. But again, could it be financial? Could it be emotional? Are you guys in communication? There's all that pyramid to look down before we go into, you didn't buy me a cake. Shit. Do you know what I mean? And it's not to say it's wrong, 100%. I had years and years and years, where those things would come up and things like that would happen. And then it was like, bloody oath I could have a cake, even though I didn't need it for my bud. But, throat chakra going in and out. Throat chakra going in and out. You could listen, okay? You could actually sit and you could, I love cake. If you had any idea how much I ate yesterday, even though I was feeling really off, ugh, I can't talk too long because I do actually, I've got clients today. My partner bought me cheese grater for birthday a few years ago. It pissed me off so bad. What are the funkiest gifts you've got? Yeah, I think, when your throat chakra comes up, we tend to go into, we're not saying something. That's the logic of the chakra. But it's also, are you listening to yourself? So instead of expecting it outside, stop and actually go, okay, am I honoring how I feel? Because, it doesn't matter. And so many conversations I've had over the years, it's like sometimes we can get to a space where we're saying, you're trying to get your point across, and then it feels like it's going on deaf ears. But, some people are at different stages, right? So some people just don't comprehend that space of consciousness. And so if we're then stooping down to that level, we're then feeling that they're at the equal playing field, but they're actually not. And it's not that they're bad people. They just don't understand what they're doing. You've got to step outside the storyline and actually go, okay, where is this coming from? Hi, somewhere in time. So, if I could give Diva anything, what would I give her? What would we give Diva? We would give Diva a gold medal for patience, a big hug for her big patient heart, and a merit award. I was told I would not be able to bring him along on the journey. Crap. Not true. There's stages. There's stages in the journey. So much over the years I've learned through my 20-odd something. Twin hates me saying it. How can I put it? The amount of years it's been with the transition. I'm rolling. We're not allowed to do that on YouTube. And, it's not true. There are times in the separation state it's happening for a reason. We don't like to hear it. Even the way I'm forming the course, which is the education material, we tend to, there are certain things we can understand and comprehend at certain stages of the journey. We do go into sometimes even feeling real. It doesn't matter about the age gap. It doesn't matter about, in twin flame path, especially for what we deem as the second waivers, which technically we're now the first waivers, because the first waivers already went into connection. That they've done their shake up in society, so to speak. So we're theoretically the second waivers. Your role is different, and it is very difficult because a lot of times it's lineage related. You're breaking down the paradigms, the connections. It can be different races, it can be different sexes, it can be different cultures. The empath tends to be having, you're thinking it's about the journey. Your journey as a twin starts from birth. The activation and the awakening happens upon potentially meeting, hearing, connecting. And it also can be something drastic. Sometimes we can have it through yoga, or it can be an accident you have, which that awakening stage can come up. And again, the dark night of the soul, even, it can come and go. It doesn't have to happen at a solid space. Sometimes it can be dragged out and it can go down. But as to the direct connection, the more you can face shadow of being alone and abandonment, and that it's not going to be permanent, your mind will jump into so many times in the journey, am I a twin, am I not a twin? And you'll even be very comfortable with not even needing it as a tag, because you acknowledge who you are. It defies all odds and logic. It's just, it is. So you are the yin to the yang. And once you can accept that you are whole and you are going to be fine, and it is going to be, you don't know where, what, why, when, how, It won't define you. And you have you ever noticed when you go, it's never going to happen, and you're actually losing hope and you go to move forward, that's when you get communication. It's literally showing you one paradigm. You have attachment. And so with attachment and control, Virgo, Pisces, the monkey mind, right, into the logic, casting critical eyes on details for healing and logic. You then move into Pisces, the spiritual connection, the 4D, the 5D. We can fall up and down, let go. The more you let go and integrate and know you are in perfect alignment where you are, what you're doing, how you're doing, without solving a problem X, Y, and Z, you'll get movement. And currently, Pisces, for the masculine, is masculine. So they're moving into the psychology, the spirituality. And so this for them over the next week is going to be pretty. So just have patience. It's happening to them too. It's not just happening to us. For them, they are Jupiter in energy. At the moment, it's in the house of Neptune. The full moon is in Neptune. So it's disillusionment. It can be codependency. It can be fear-based frequency. So the pressure cooker always puts us where we need to be to have that dissension and ascension to be freed. But it's a process of healing. So that energy at the moment with the masculines is quite large. And it's a bit like trying to walk in duality with that person when that person's down in the dumps. It's like if that person's down in the dumps and they're doing shadow work, are you going to go, can we go dancing? It's just this week, okay? It's not permanent. It's the next, I would say, 4 or 5 days, either side. There's revelations, there's awakenings, there's transformations, and it's just be gentle with it. You can be mad all you like. It's not going to wake the person up. And the person actually is awake. But when we're facing our shadow of, how do I put it? When we're facing, gee, I did that, gee, I feel that, gee, I have unhealthy patterns, that's something they have to do the work on. And, you know, by not enabling, by maybe going, hey, I've been there, I'm watching you do it, and it's not fun. Yeah, you get my gist? And generally when we do feel blocked off, are we feeling that we're protecting ourselves, or are we feeling that we are, what would the word be? It's just a funky energy with the moon. That's point blank zero what I'll say. We can be feeling angry, mad, bad. We can be feeling very logical, like very optimistic. Very just, I'm doing me. And that's okay too. You know, wherever you are in the realm of that, just really honor that space right now. If you feel mad, it's okay to feel mad. You are not bad for having those emotions. Things happen to you. You have an entitlement to feel a vibration. Otherwise, if you ignored it and went, no, I'm going to be love and light. It's not that we aren't love and light. We're not bad if we have an angry emotion. We're not bad if we have a enlightened, different perspective emotion. It's not a judgment. It's a phase. It's a moment. It's a thing we're directly addressing. It could be something that comes up at this point in time. Just really honor what it is. Create space for self. Don't feel abandoned. You're not alone. We're all going through this in some weird way. I'll answer a few questions and then I'll run. Yeah. We have our witch moments. They've got those time frames, right? They're good for some things. And yes, as to the magic realm, you know, what we put out is what we get back. So it's like, no juju, man. Nope. Not entertaining that, because manifestation happens at all levels. Manifestation happens all the time. Sometimes if we're getting into the monkey mind, please try and step out of it. And that is also from a manifestation point of view, because what can happen is we can actually bring that of what we fear towards us. The witch moments are... you got to laugh about it, though. You got to have those moments and laugh about it. You won't need to do any bindings. You know, half of us, wherever we are in the realm of awakening, you won't want to do that, because you're like, no, if that wasn't good, why would I want to bind it to me? No, thank you. I can, but I haven't brought the cards out. So you're checking. Emma, I think you're doing pretty good, Dale. Your vibration is, you're moving up, but you also are in a space that you're not judging, you're understanding. Yeah, I feel this happy vibe coming through, but I feel it's in the next week. Do you get what I'm saying? So I do feel it's actually moving up and forward, but it feels positive. I do see a conversation happening. Do you get what I'm saying here? I do feel you're lightly moving through aspects and situations where you're addressing them. But I do have a good energy around you. Your aura at the moment is very up and up. Yeah, I feel you're going to be very productive. Hello, Alex. How are you? You surely can, Alex. How can I help you? You got something to face. You can do it, girl. I'm saying it contractual. Is that correct, Emma? I'm saying paperwork. It's like something's in front of you. You have some exciting things happening in the future. Emma, you're going to be fine, Dale. Don't stress. It's okay. It's fine. I see a document. I see a presentation. I can see a folder, and it's on a table. You're pushing it forward, and I feel it's accepted. Whatever it is, it's accepted. I think yes. Why am I seeing, Alex, another person around you that is very close to you? You need to be careful of the ones you trust, because there's somebody else around the situation. You've got to be careful who you trust. I do feel it's going to be fine. I just feel there's another person who has ulterior motives. This might be somebody you turn to for communication. It feels as a male, but you need to be careful with that individual because they've got ulterior motives. I do feel they have, this person has something there that they're not, they're a bit insecure. That's the way I can describe it. But I don't think it's coming through positively. Do you know what I mean? Mermaid. Why am I saying your living room? It's a human. Yes. Better keep an eye on the time because I do have a client shortly. Yeah. It's probably not a good angle to be sitting it like this. It's like, gee, my back's hurting. But I didn't want the glare. Are you spending time, Mermaid Wishes, are you spending time in your living room needs clearing? There's a bit of energy going on in your living room at the moment. And it needs clearing. It's a little bit dark at the moment, doll. Yeah. It's a bit dark. It's bringing your chi energy down. It's also asking you to go outside and connect with nature. It's saying that the chi energy in the home is getting a bit stagnant. Your vibration is good, but the energy in the house is stagnant. So clear your house, move outside, do some guided meditation moving into the moon. I feel your vibe will pick up, but at the moment you kind of feel, you kind of, I would say hermit mode, but it doesn't feel like hermit mode. Happy birthday, Diva. Love and light, sweet. Yeah, go catch some sun. I do think you'll get a conversation, Diva. I feel like I'm saying 2 or 3. It could be 2 or 3 hours, 2 or 3 days. But I do feel a conversation happening. Yeah. Okay, so yes, with... Yeah, it's like, I think it's like there's a new beginning, Mermaid, right? But I think it's something to do with the living room energy. And it's like you kind of, it doesn't necessarily feel you're unmotivated. It's zapping your energy. I feel you do want to have movement and change, but there's something to do with that living room at the moment. It's sort of blocking you. You know, I had this channeled message with the client the other day, and it was almost like there was this glass dome over her house. Her energy was great, but it was like stagnancy. And I'm seeing the living room, and I'm getting headaches. It's just too dark in there. So open up, get some light in there, smudge it, Yeah, it's really, it's zapping your energy. So smudge it, clear the energy, and I feel if you can bring some lightness in, it's going to bring the new vibration and of positivity, and it's going to help the flow of good luck coming in. But it does feel stagnant. And it might be because what's happened is in that transitional phase, from you going from point A to point B into this new location, the integration and acceptance of it is moving into disillusionment, and because you're doing shadow work. So sometimes we do shadow work, but if we do it too long or bring that old energy over into the new, you're recreating it. So clear the house, and it can bring that new vibe in. I hope you get my gist. And then you bring the new in. Yeah. Yeah, stop being smudging. Yeah. But it feels as though you emotionally were healing from the past, maybe had a bit of attachment. It's like, does this mean X, Y, and Z is going to happen? And I think you're releasing that. But if you did happen to release it at the previous house, come to the new one, it's kind of like it's got stagnant in there. So I would say clear the house, clean the house, smudge it, have a shower, and, go for a walk first. Just get out of the house for a bit. Breathe. Yeah. Okay, guys, I'm going to love you and leave you. I hope this session helped. If you got any questions after, feel free to drop them in the box directly below and I can answer them for you. So if there's anything to do with the moon, anything to do with your emotions coming up, if you want to share with each other and explain maybe some ways, support each other through this video. So if you want to have a chat and you want to talk about things, and this can even be moving into the moon. And so really keep an eye on this video, use it as a community tab for each other, that if you do have something come up, moving into the full moon, moving out of it, just really love and support each other. Oh, thanks. Warm welcome. Yeah, just support each other so that you guys can network together, a little bit like Messenger on Facebook, so to speak. But I'll love yous and leave yous. Like I said, I'm getting a lot of new content coming. We've got hopefully the magazine in 2022, which is going to be the Age of Aquarius magazine. You're also going to have your zodiacs, but there's going to be a lot of creative content to actually support you through your spiritual path, your ascension, your awakening, and all of those things. Love and light, guys. Take care.